Alrighty. Here's the new court TV out the night before Karen's next court appearance tomorrow. And per usual, I've got opinions. I haven't seen all of this yet, but I've seen these two gentlemen speak. And so I want to say my piece about this stuff here.
The prosecutor, we're not talking about what he's mandated to do, but ethically, if something slipped through the cracks and 12 jurors actually agreed that she was not guilty of murder, your original charge when she was arrested didn't include murder, should the prosecutor just drop it for the second trial?
Okay, so first thing that comes to mind, a bunch of different things are flowing in. First of all, I think he talks about this coming up here, but when she was originally charged, she was charged with manslaughter and leaving the scene of an accident, I believe, in the DWI or OWI or whatever they call it, Massachusetts. But there was a reason why they ramped up her charges. So my question to the prosecution is, what was that? What was that reason? Or my guess is reasons. What were those reasons? Because I know that they wouldn't just do that just for funsies, because it made their case more complicated. They believe that they have a murder 2 case, and quite frankly, so do I. Now, to the Karen Read supporters, here's the thing. There are things in a court of law called rules of evidence. Certain things were not allowed to be brought in. Certain support for a certain officer was not allowed to be shown within the courtroom because of what Turtle Boy had cultivated in social media and the ridiculousness of everybody showing up supporting this woman who didn't even know the first thing about the case. Okay? So she had to be fair, so she set limits on both sides. But there are lots of things, because I didn't even know about this case. I mean, I knew about it on the peripheral, but I was engrossed in the Idaho 4 case. And honestly, the only reason I even watched this trial, and I kind of did begrudgingly, because I knew there was a lot of chaos around it, and I thought, shit, whatever. It just all sounded really stupid to me. But I'm a true crime junkie, and there were crickets in Idaho, and there hasn't been much movement going on there, so I watched the trial. And in doing so, I dug. I researched. I know my facts in this case, okay? And I know why I have such strong beliefs. And if I know that, then I know that the prosecution knows that. The Commonwealth knows that. Karen knows that. Karen's family knows that. And Karen's attorneys know that. And quite frankly, Turtle Boy knows that, as do Mike at the Young Jerks, attorney Melanie Little, Brian at LTL, the Glarer, Mark Betterow. I mean, all of these people are shills. They're all shilling. Oh, Alan Jackson, I want to fawn at your feet. Yeah, well, go for it. His wife probably will let you have him at this point. It's pretty awful and ethically a disaster. Yeah, it's there's a reason why they increased her charges, and I think that it had to do with a variety of things. Number one, I don't know when or how long it took them to get information out of the vehicle to know that she was going 62 feet in reverse up to 24 miles an hour. Why don't y'all do me a favor and go into a deserted parking lot or out in the country somewhere by where you live and try to do that yourself? You saw Turtle Boy try to do it. You saw Vinny try to do it. Okay? It's next to impossible. You don't do that by accident. She did that on purpose. And how do I know that? Well, for one, the length, 62 feet. Okay, if you accidentally push the gas, you don't do that for that long. Nor do you not take your foot off the gas at all when you hit something. And based on what Trooper Paul told us, that's how they know that it's a pedestrian hit, based on the data in that black box of the steering wheel moving just a tiny bit, jerking, and then a super small, like 0.5 mile an hour decrease in speed. She didn't even take her foot off when she made contact. She texted her lawyer that she sideswiped him. I can't remember what terminology she used, but something like that. That's where they got the idea that she did sideswipe him. Is she fucking said it. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is all of the bells and whistles in that car. Look, I don't have that nice of a car. I have a nice car, but it's not a Lexus. Okay, and if I am moving over into another lane that my car thinks that there's a car too close to me, I mean, my car yells at me. There is no way that she didn't pay attention to all of that stuff going on. And if it wasn't going on, that means that she shut it off. And why would she do that? Why would you do that? It's silly. And then a lot of things in the morning. Like, she's calling people, telling them that John is dead before John is discovered. So at this point, you know, she leaves John, she drops John off, and within 20 minutes, she is calling him, accusing him of cheating on her, okay? So, again, she is assuming that he walked into that house and is dropping his pants and boning the first chick that he finds in there. I mean, that's ridiculous. And then what? Like, that's... I know people find this crazy, and so do I, quite frankly, because it is crazy. But once I feel like I understand how psychotic this woman is, and she has to be psychotic to do the things that she has done and continues to do. That was her building an alibi. I know that's crazy. I know most people would be like, well, no, you would be like, hi, honey, just let me know when you need a ride home. Yeah, most normal people would, but Karen is not normal. She does not have a rational thinking mind, which is why she is a domestic violence person. I'm hoping if there are any boyfriends out there of Karen Read and you happen to hear my voice, please reach out. I will keep you totally confidential. I want some dirt. I want to know. I want to know if the Commonwealth has tried to reach out to you all, because I've heard lots of rumors, and at this point they're unconfirmed rumors, but it certainly doesn't take too much of a stretch to imagine that she set one of her ex-boyfriend's cars on fire, and she's had a lot of rage incidents in the past. Okay, she probably has a borderline personality, histrionic personality disorder on top of the psychopathy, because she clearly doesn't have the ability to censor herself or read the room or understand the context in which she is living. Okay, and the only evidence you need of that is they're showing John's autopsy pictures to the jury in the trial, and she's giggling and flirting with her attorney, Alan Jackson, during his autopsy photos while they're holding up his bloody clothes. She's giggling and flirting with her attorney, Alan Jackson. It's disgusting and despicable. I have seen horrendous murderers act better than that. Wade Wilson, I mean, he didn't sit there and giggle and laugh and flirt with his attorney, although his attorneys were a couple of old men. But I'm just saying, like, serial killers don't act that way. She has no she's literally, I mean, it's psychopathy. I can't understand it because I'm not psychopathic. So nothing surprises me at this point. Okay. So, yeah, like I've gone over ad nauseum, she is calling John's best friend, who, by the way, Carrie Roberts, has no affiliations with anybody involved in this case. She is the one person that if you're going to say 78 people are corrupt, she's the one that is not corrupt. Okay? She has no ties to any police officers. She has no ties to any of the families that Turtle Boy wants to say are, in on this conspiracy, blah, 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 blah. She wants justice for one of her best friends from high school. Her only loyalty lies with the O'Keefe family. And you bet your ass, if there was some kind of corruption, she would be the first to sound the alarm. And I know that because I know me. And I know that if I were in that situation, I would never let it go if I thought there was a tiny ounce of a chance that something fishy was going on. I would be certain in my convictions. John's family are certain in their convictions. They have ethics and they have class and they're grieving. And they don't have the energy to fight off a ridiculous mob of people that don't know Karen, that didn't know John, that don't take the time to do their research. Okay? So the thing here is that I don't think that I think that these attorneys that are just saying, like, get rid of the second degree, it's so strange to me because, number one, any attorney knows that, police officers always give multiple charges because that's how you can make deals. But they also would not charge her with murder after they already charged her with manslaughter if they didn't have a damn good reason to. They did not present their case well because they were totally consumed with and knocked off balance by this ridiculous innocence fraud campaign. They had never seen it before. As far as I know, it's the first one that's happened pre-trial and real time in America. Amanda Knox was one, but she was in Italy when it was happening. But that's why it was so successful with so many people, though, because the Knox family was able to hire PR people to cover it in their own biased way so that it made Amanda look innocent, which is exactly how this started with Turtle Boy and Karen and Karen's friend that got her connected with Turtle Boy. Okay. And then Josh Levy got his dirty little paws involved. There's so much that's going to come to light. So here's the thing. They have a lot of good reason to have that second degree murder charge. And it's not going to go away because people that support Karen Read without knowing all the facts think that it should. They have all sorts of case law that is going to deem this completely ridiculous. And quite frankly, both Jackson and Yannetti and Karen and Turtle Boy, everybody knows it's fucking stupid. Everybody knows they're not going to win this motion. But they're doing it for PR. If you wanted to poll the jury, Jackson and Yannetti, you had all the time in the world to do that. But nope, you wanted to get that mistrial because you didn't want Karen to go to prison that day. So it's just more PR, guys. So I don't agree with this whole get rid of the second degree. And I think that, in fact, I know that there's a lot of shit happening in the background. And I know the facts, okay? And I know that Karen Read is guilty because I'm an intelligent person that can look at facts and look at evidence. And with each new piece of evidence, I can draw closer to the truth. I have gone on about these ARCA guys and people that believe Karen Read's nonsense. Of course they believe these ARCA guys. No, they don't need any actual inculpatory evidence in order to find Karen Read not culpable in this vehicle pedestrian collision. Of course they don't, because they don't want to find that. That's not what they've been tasked to do. And it will be brought to light in one way or another. And I mean, this case is so divisive, and I think that it's so, knowing that where I came from, because I did, when I started watching it, I was thinking that she probably was innocent. And by the end of day one, I knew she was guilty. Go back and listen to my very first post. I was coming to the realization that night after watching that whole first day like 3 different times and just processing through all of that information. And I already was starting to see through the veil of ridiculousness and the PR campaign. So you can't tell me that if you're an intelligent person that wants to know the facts, that you can't seek facts. I am more convinced than I've ever been that people that want to support Karen are doing so for their own selfish reasons, which are very much like a cult. It's because you're finding your identity in this movement that you find yourself, which is a movement against police corruption. And like I've said before, I'll say it a million times, abso-fucking-lutely, fight police corruption. I'd like to get more eyes going on in Idaho. But this is not that case. If you want the corruption is on the side of the defense. And I hope to God that the people that are at work doing this, trying to expose this for what it is, are working fast and that they're going to be successful in their efforts, because it's shameful what John O'Keefe's family and friends have had to endure beyond his death. His death is bad enough, but they're having so much more bullshit thrown at them, slung at them, booing them when they go to court. And don't tell me that the pink people don't boo at them. I've seen it and watched it. It's disgusting. No, not all of y'all do that. And no, not all of y'all sign on for that. But you know what? If I support somebody and they act like a fucking asshole like that, I'm going to put my own thoughts and beliefs in check. And I'm going to ask myself, is this the kind of thing? Wait now, what is the purpose of this? Because if I just believe Karen Read is innocent, I'm not going to boo John O'Keefe's family. If I believe that they don't really know the truth, which again, complete bullshit, but if I truly believe that they haven't seen the light, there's no way in hell I'm booing a victim's family. And there's no way in hell I'm standing with somebody who allows that, puts up with that, and encourages that. And those of you that just say, I'm just watching the trial and I'm not Turtle Boy affiliated, that's great. The problem is that it's like, I'm a coach, okay? The team, each individual teammate represents the team, represents the school. Okay, so you always have to be thinking about how you're representing when you're choosing actions that are not full of integrity. And if you're supporting people that act that way, I would encourage you to check them out. Turtle Boy's court case should reveal a lot. Problem is, I don't know if we're going to get to it before Karen Read's retrial. I want to understand why there's so much evidence. Why is this not allowed to come into the courtroom? I think that all of this shit should be able to be brought into the courtroom. all the vitriol and hatred that his family and friends have endured, his friends being called murderers, that is beyond defamation. They have been terrorized. All of y'all that think that she's innocent, but then it's okay to call out 50 other people and chase them down and hunt them down and harass them at their children's school events and shit all the time. You have not one scintilla of evidence against any single one of those people. They're not on trial. But you want Karen Read to be granted the presumption of innocence, which she should be. The state needs to prove their case. They need to present it better than they did. And I have faith that they will the next time. Now they know what they're dealing with. Now they see where they need to make adjustments. And I think that all of these people that are saying they should just drop this second-degree charge, I think they're going to see the light in the second trial. I think that they're going to make it really fucking obvious why they increased those charges from manslaughter to second-degree murder. And I think that the reasons I mentioned are some of them, and there's probably more. But they're not dropping any of these charges. You can go take it to the Supreme Court. You do your thing. That's fine. We're going to push on because everybody knows with any rational mind seeking truth can figure this out. I believe that in my heart. Like, I just, you can't not see it. If you are going to believe in something, then you need to test your belief. And by testing your belief, it's either going to make it stronger or it's going to perhaps start to shift the way you think a little bit. And if you refuse to test your belief and you run away from the evidence and you refuse to answer questions and you just dog people and put people down, and when they ask you a direct question, you answer it with another question that has nothing to do with your original question, that is called gaslighting, and it's a sure sign that you're full of shit. If you live in an echo chamber with this case or anything in your life, that is confirmation bias. If you can't see the other side, then that is confirmation bias. I will be the first to admit that I saw the other side. I went into this trial, again, on the periphery, very little actual facts, just what was in the media, and not much of that, to be honest. I wasn't following the case. But, so I know where I came from and why I thought that. And I get that you can have all these, you can poke holes in anything. It doesn't prove that Karen Read is innocent. Okay? You can find problems with this, that, and the next. It doesn't make Karen Read innocent. And to me, it breaks my heart that John O'Keefe's family and friends are going to pay for the sins of others. If there's corruption in the police department, weed that shit out. But this is not, you know what they didn't find? They didn't find any actual corruption in this case. I've said it a million times. The feds are done. You know what the feds don't do? They don't come out and tell you that they're done. They write a 3,075-page paper telling you what they found. And the only thing that the defense had to use against them were Proctor's texts that people were so fucking offended by. Why don't you read Karen's fucking texts and see how she thinks and acts and conducts herself? Fuck Paul. Fuck John's family. They're all fucking assholes. Fuck them. Boo. Fuck them. I mean, this is a man that you told people that you loved. Clearly, you're not capable of love, but people thought that you cared about this man. And this is how you treat his family? Again, I've said it before. Even if, let's say, I had brought harm to my man in some way, shape, or form, and let's say I didn't, but let's say that I was being accused of it. And so now I'm standing trial. If people were coming out and attacking my man's family or friends the way that they've been attacking John's family and friends, I don't care if I have to spend the rest of my life in prison. I'm going to make damn sure that the public, if they're representing themselves as protecting me and supporting me, then you bet your ass I'm going to let them know that that does not show me that they support me. If they support me, then they need to do it in a respectful way. They need to dig for the truth, find the facts, bring them out ethically. There is investigative journaling for a reason. There's another case somewhere where some politician he's on trial now for killing a reporter for exposing the corruption. I don't remember which state, Arizona, I think. I don't remember, but okay. So this is what happens. If Turtle Boy really exposed corruption, he'd probably be in a 6-foot hole somewhere, quite frankly. Because if if there was all this corruption being brought to light, there would be lots of heads that were going to roll, and there would be people that obviously have no morals or ethics that don't really care what the rules of society are, and he'd be in a hole somewhere. He's going to prison. And I'm convinced that that's why he's not stopping, because he knows that he's going away. So, like, he's just enjoying what he can, all this fame while he can. I don't know what he's going to do when the hammer comes down, because I don't think it's going to be good for his children to be around, because I don't think that he's going to do well with consequences to his actions. And it's sad. And there's still a part of me that feels bad for him. And there is a huge part of me that wants to try to appeal to his senses as a human. But he is throwing everything in on this. There's no reason for him to back down. Even if he quit now, what would the benefit be? All that would do is expose both himself and Karen and all the other bad actors involved in this. Whatever he's going to prison for, he's going. I mean, he can't take back the shit that he's advertising it constantly, so it's out there. You can say freedom of speech all you want. You don't get freedom of speech to call people murderers in a public forum day after day after day and not have one thing to back it up. It's disgusting. And Turtle Boy, if for some crazy reason you hear my tiny little voice in the universe, I beg of you to stop, look at yourself in the mirror, and ask yourself, is this the kind of world that you want your children to live in? Do you want them to be treated the way that you're treating others? What would you do if somebody was treating your children that way? Or somebody else that you love that way? I mean, it's like, find the humanity. Let's see. I got off on my soapbox here, but let's keep going and see what happens.
Vinny, they don't have to. Like you said, the defense made a mistake or strategically chose not to. But I think the prosecution should dismiss the murder charges. That's the ethical thing to do. That's the right thing to do. This case isn't a murder, nor is...
I don't agree with that at all, as I've aforementioned. And quite frankly, I think kowtowing to a corrupt defense team at this point, like, there's no way in actual hell. And as a prosecutor, you all know that. You're just feeding the Cookie Monster here. You gotta appease both sides, right? Because that's your job as journalists, and that's your job as legal analysts and legal people. Okay, we do have to hold our system accountable. so that people that do go to prison are in fact guilty, and that we can trust in that. And that's why the system is adversarial, and that's why it's the best one in the world. But it is far from perfect, and it is far from being able to be corrupted. There is no way, just because you haven't dug into this case, because again, the Commonwealth didn't present a very clean case. They did, I mean, Lally did the work of 3 high-priced attorneys. And the majority of the jury, if you want to believe all this nonsense going on right now, we're going to send her to prison for manslaughter, if nothing else, okay? So he did win the day, if you want to really break it down. But now he knows what's going on. And anybody worth their salt in the legal world knows. And if they tell you other, they're straight up lying, or there's some kind of incentive for them to not tell you like it is. When there's a retrial, I'm going to go ahead and say probably 95% of those retrials end in a guilty verdict. Because the state gets to clean up their case. They see where their weaknesses were, and they bring it the next time. And my hope is they have visual aids. They have a more... Keep Trooper Paul. He's a very intelligent man. He's obviously green with actually giving testimony, and he needs practice. Because honestly, I mean, he's good at his job. He just needs to have more practice with public speaking. So don't get rid of him, but add on. How come? Let's have ARCA actually investigate this case. Can we do that? I really hope that Lally is on top of that. They better actually investigate this case. Because they did not investigate this case. They're fucking building cannons, throwing glasses at the back of a car. Like, not even the back of a car. Against a vice holding a taillight. I mean, it's like, what in the actual fuck are you doing? The vehicle gives you the data. The vehicle gives you how fast she was going, how long of a distance you weren't given any of that information, so you're throwing this glass, shooting it out of this cannon at a certain mile per hour, and I'm thinking, what in the hell, where did you get that number from? Oh, you just plucked it out of the air because you know that you have to have, you know, this going this speed in order to create. So you literally weren't even given the miles per hour that the vehicle was traveling. Karen's brother is a Lexus, like, head top dog at a Lexus dealership. They were trying to screw up the key cycles. And all y'all that want to give Trooper Paul a hard time, he figured it out. He just needs to present better. And hopefully, if he has a wife, his wife is sitting at home with him practicing this shit with them. Because he is intelligent and he does deserve credit. And he just needs to be able to know how to say things better and not to just say, well, I didn't put the evidence there. Like, that was a bad look, Trooper Paul. So, yeah, we need a better, somebody to tie it all together, okay? Like Kevin has said on his show, the cell phone data, the GPS data, the health data, the vehicle data. We need, keep everybody that does their certain thing, but then we need one expert, like ARCA, perhaps, because this is what they actually do. If you want to find out what they do, go look on their website and look up what they do and how they do it. That would be the perfect company to swoop in and put all of this shit together and say, this is how it happened. And if the Commonwealth doesn't do that, I don't know why. Because it makes no sense. There's so much crap out there that was not allowed to be brought in. Karen Read's interviews, her dad's interviews, Karen Reed, you want to talk about Proctor's phone stuff? Why are we not given more of Karen Reed's phone stuff? They have her phone shit from after she was arrested and when she was conferring with Turtle Boy about shit. They have that in evidence for Turtle Boy's trial. Why is that not allowed to come in? It's showing her absolute direct involvement at the helm of this thing. And I understand that the jury isn't supposed to know about all this social media shit, but quite honestly, I think that they're going to know about social media shit. Okay, they're just not supposed to be biased one way or the other. You can still know about the case, you just can't be biased and have your mind made up. So I don't know why that wouldn't be able to be brought in, because if you don't believe she's guilty after you read those texts, then you're clearly in on the fucking joke, as Karen Reed would say.
Is it a cover-up? It is a vehicular manslaughter case. Karen Reed should be retried on those charges only. And what people aren't talking about is the jury was 9-3 in favor of conviction on that count.